Okay, so Science of Zelda, Twilight Physics. Yay! Terrible pun has already hurt 2 people that I've met, so that's perfect. The guide I wrote in the comic book was sort of okay. Basically, it's taking stuff in The Legend of Zelda that works because it's in a magical realm and suspension of disbelief, and going, okay, but what if we apply the laws of physics to it and see how messy it gets? That's the idea of the panel. So it's not 100% accurate, for obvious reasons, but I've done as best I can with the knowledge I have, and the very sort of limited science qualifications I own. So it's massively tongue-in-cheek. None of this is to be taken seriously, just in case any of you are proper die-hard science / Legend of Zelda fans. None of this is serious. So it kind of just work with me on it and just kind of suspend belief for the next hour. Is that okay? Can we do that?
Yes.
Perfect. So, now that that's the disclaimer out of the way, let's get on with it. So, the first point of the day. If Link plays his ocarina in Hyrule Field, does a boner have to be there to hear it? Yes, this is the kind of humour expected from the panel. If you're not happy with that, leave now, because it's not all downhill from here. So this is, as the question says, relatively simple. How far away does a Epona have to be from an ocarina to be able to physically hear it anymore? Simple as that, really. But this is a little bit weird because of the way that sound and levels work, so there's a little bit of butchering of science, so again, apologies to the physicists. But we'll work with it. So, yes, there's diagrams and everything. Okay, so I thought I should plug the wire then. So, this is based off, for those of you who haven't guessed already, this is Twilight Princess, which is one of 2 Zelda games I own and have the ability to work with. So, we went with Twilight Princess. So this is Fire and Field. So basically what I did was I got hold of Epona, went from that end of Fire and Field and timed it to that end in as straight a line as I could get, avoiding the lake and the bridge in the middle. That takes about 51 seconds. So based on Epona's rough speed, which is a sort of trot / canter, which is about 22 kilometers an hour, depends on the breed of horse, of course, turns into this equation here. So 51 seconds is 0.0141667 hours, because we're working in miles an hour here, so we've got to convert it into a standard unit. And then obviously distance equals speed over time. So 22 kilometers an hour times however many hours that is, gives us 0.311 kilometers, otherwise known as about 311 meters. So, which is, I looked at that, I worked it out and I thought that is far too short, but the numbers add up. So we're rolling with it. Because that is not 300 meters. I refuse to believe that is 300 meters. But again, the Hyrule, whatever. So now we go on to the sound bit. So now we know how long the field is, we can go on to how the ocarina bit works. So I had to go with a flute, because unfortunately you can't find the volume level in an ocarina, because it's not part of an orchestra, unfortunately, or a standard orchestra at least. So I went with a flute, which is the nearest thing I could find, which is 92 to 103 decibels, roughly. So decibels is the measure of a sound's level. It's not necessarily how loud it is, it's the level of the sound, which is worked out through some really bizarre equation that I did have, but it's far too long, and I didn't want to bore you already more than I'm about to, so I thought I'd best leave it. This is somewhat simplified for ease of use, so don't worry too much about it. So your sound intensity level, or your SIL, decreases by 6 decibels for every doubling of a length. So for example, at 1 meter away, this flute is going to sound 103 decibels. When you get 2 meters away, it drops down to 97. 4 meters, 91, etc., etc., etc. It just keeps going and going and going every time you double. So the other important note, this is for humans, because horses, they hear different frequencies, different sounds, and different levels depending on the breed and how they're taught. So, couldn't really narrow it down. So I've gone for humans because it's close enough, and it'll do for the purposes of this. So noise absorption will write down to something called the absolute threshold of hearing, which is 0 decibels, which is equivalent to a mosquito buzzing 3 meters away from you. That's how quiet, apparently, we can hear, which is exceptionally quiet. I don't know if you've ever heard a mosquito buzz from 3 meters away. It's not loud. So that is your ATH. So in order to reduce the SIL down to the ATH, which is your sound level down to 0, would take, I refuse to believe this as well until I worked it out again, 141.25375 kilometers which is 454 times the length of Farron Field in Twilight Princess. This does assume, however, it doesn't sound as ridiculous, that you are playing this ocarina at one end of an endless void, and opponent is at the other end, 141 kilometers away. Because when sound travels, it amplifies what anything it reflects off. So any reflective surfaces you've got will amplify the sound. So in theory, you could hear it even further away. But in just an absolute void of nothing, where somehow Link and opponent have ended up for the purposes of this experiment, it would be 141 kilometers, which, as I say, is 454 times the length of Farron Field. To put that into real-world numbers, because references. This here is super duper tiny text, so I apologise. I'll read it best I can. So we're here. That's the Birmingham Metropole. Yeah. That's the end of the car park, and that's the roundabout to get onto it. That there is about 300 and odd metres. That is the length of Farron Field, basically. From here to there. Which is, again, why I don't believe that Farron Field is that short, because it looks massive in the game. And then, to put the other bit into context, 141 kilometres is from the middle of Birmingham to just outside Leeds, which is where I've come from. So, in theory, if there was nothing in the way at all, thank you very much, if there was nothing in the way, Link could be sat right here, playing ocarina, and opponent all the way up in ye old Leeds, where could hear it. Apparently. It's all to do with inverse proportions, basically. As the distance increases, the sound level decreases. It's simple science. But as I say, I went over this with my dad, who did science for university and whatnot. He refused to believe it at first, and then I showed him all the equations. Like, oh no, actually that's about right. So that's it. We've got two people who have verified this information. Sounds about right. Sorry, just let me grab a quick drink. If I'm talking too fast, by the way, let me know, because that will happen. But can everyone still hear me okay? You all good in the back? Perfect, thank you. Let me attempt to open this portal.
We should be able to hear you from Leeds.
Up to north. Where blokes come from. Right. So, next one. Have any of you seen the Game Theory series on YouTube?
Yes.
A couple of you, yes. Who remembers the Hookshot one?
Yes.
I borrowed a bunch of stuff for this one because I was not going to work out the pixel volume of a hookshot. Sod that. So I have worked on that basis and done a little bit more with it. So how much shot does a hookshot shoot when a hookshot shoots a shot? Practice? Never. So yeah. Again, I borrowed the numbers from that because he did a lot of work, and if you haven't seen it, I'll probably explain this way better than I can. It's an excellent video. So basically, this requires Newton's second law of motion, which those of you who did GCSE science will probably remember. It's net force is the mass of an object times its acceleration, so how heavy it is and how fast it's moving. To get the mass, we however need the density and volume of it, which is where I borrowed the video for. Because what they did was they somehow, I have no idea how he did this, but they took the pixel length and everything of that and worked out the density based on the pixels, which is dedication to an art. Honestly, you have to be really invested in a series to go, you know what I'm going to do today? I'm going to boot up Ocarina and rip the sprites and measure how deep it is. That is art, and I applaud them for that. So, yeah. Once you've got the density and volume, you can turn the density, so the density equation is density equals mass divided by volume. You can swap that around to turn it into mass is density times volume. Fair enough. So assuming the hookshot is made of steel, which is probably one of the best materials it could be, because it's quite relatively light. It doesn't really rust or corrode or anything like that, and it's not too hard to work with. So it's probably steel. Density of steel is about 80,050 kilograms per meter cubed. So for every meter cubed, it weighs 8 tons. Fairly heavy stuff. So the approximate volume of the hook, again, I was not going to work this out, so thank you Game Theory for solving me with that, is 0.0012 meters cubed. And absolutely tiny in terms of things. So if we jam that into the equation there, we can get the mass of it. So the density is 8050, the mass is 0.0012, it turns out it's 9.5 kilos. If any of you have held 9.5 kilos of stuff, it's not that light. That is a hefty piece of kit, and that's just that bit. That's not this, that's that. So just the tip is 9.5 kilos. So it's not easy. But then using the long shot as reference, because obviously it's a longer chain. So manufacturers of steel run their densities for chains via the diameter of the link. Not this diameter, chain diameter. And one for steel is, I can't remember the number of hands, it's relatively small. But when you jam the distance of the chain plus how the diameter of the chain links, you get about 76 kilos for the chain. So 20 meters of chain is 76 kilos, which means that the entire long shot is 85.5 kilos. I weigh 78 kilos. That thing is heavier than me. And he just lugs it round and just all bro-like. Just like, yeah, I've totally got this. He didn't skip arm day for sure. So now we've got the mass, we need the acceleration, so those who can't actually work out the force of anything. So, to find the acceleration, we have to go with acceleration is velocity over time. So the length of the long shot, 20 meters. From nothing to 20 meters out takes a second. Bloody quick, this thing. So therefore, velocity is, 20 meters a second. So the time taken to reach max speed is in borderline instant. As soon as you fire the long shot, it's at full speed. It doesn't lose any speed along the way. So it's basically 0.1 of a second, which means that the acceleration, velocity over time, 20 divided by 0.1 is 200 meters a second. A bullet fires at 335 meters a second on average. So this thing's pretty quick. I mean, I'm not even going to go into the velocity of a bullet. I don't know if you guys can see it at the back. It's 440,000 meters a second. That's how fast a bullet goes, which is why, a lot of people can't dodge them. Fun fact of the day, you can't really dodge a bullet. So now that we have the mass and the acceleration, we can find out the force that the long shot actually fires with. So it's 85 kilos, that's just going basically, essentially that way, and then you've got, that way. And then you've got the acceleration, which is going that way, because obviously forces equal and opposite reaction. So you've got 85.5 mass going at 200 meters a second, which is 17,100 newtons. That's a lot. Don't know if you worked that out, but that is a lot of force from basically there. And then it gets better because when the hookshot retracts again a second later, Link is about 67 kilos, rough, working off Twilight Princess, rough estimates. He's also going at 200 meters a second, so the force on him is another 13,400 newtons. So the long shot is going that way, the hook is going at 17,000 newtons, and then he's following it after at 13,000. Breaking a bone takes 12,000 newtons. Do you see where this is going?
It's Wolverine is fine.
Obviously this is completely disregarding the fact he's a Hylian, he's probably coked to the nines on magic. So let's ignore that for now. So when the long shot hooks into a target, it immediately retracts, which means that the best case scenario of 85 kilos of weight going that way at incredibly high speed, being held on by 4 fingers and a thumb, is that you'll break your wrist, you'll probably break your fingers, and you might dislocate a shoulder. So he's now got a very limp left hand. And considering that he is mostly left-handed, it's no good. Pretty useless in a fight. So just for, if anyone's wondering, to remove a limb takes 30,000 newtons. So it's about halfway there from completely ripping his arm off. And then you've got the G's to contend with. So those of you who don't, excuse me, those of you who don't know, G-forces are lateral movement. So whenever you go around a corner in a car, you can't do it yourself. You get G's, so G-force. So Link speeds up to about 145 miles an hour during that 0.1 second thing. So in the space of 1/10 of a second, he's gone from 0 to 45. He's faster than about every car in existence, including like most of the Formula 1 ones, which is not great. So he's getting about 20 G's of force. 1 G is well, it's not atmospheric, but basically 1 G is what you're experiencing 99% of the time. So right now is 1. He takes 20 in the space of 1/10 of a second, which will dislocate and damage his vertebrae because he's going horizontally. So if the hookshot travelled him stood up, you would take the brunt of the G-force across your body, so it's not as bad. But because the hookshot does that as soon as it launches, he's taking it along the head, so it's going down that way, which is the worst way to take G-force. Can't recommend 0 out of 10. So that will dislocate and damage his vertebrae, potentially causing semi and permanent blindness, And they've done tests because obviously astronauts need to be able to take Gs. You can only survive 10 seconds at that speed, at that G-force, before you die. So if he went any longer on that hookshot, he'd potentially be dead. That heart meter would just drain. There'd be no bleeps, no fairies, no nothing. He'd be dead, unfortunately. So yeah, he's pretty hefty. I think we can say. I think that's a unanimous decision. But what is the point of a boot-wearing Highland in a watery environment? African and European. Right, so again, we're going with Twilight Princess because A, the iron boots are the coolest looking things on Earth in that game, and also I was able to get a really good reference point. So the boots are very roughly measured. Very, very roughly measured indeed. So I worked out roughly the entirety of those iron segments. I worked out around my foot. So your foot is about 10 centimeters deep, 30 long, and about another 10 wide. So it's 30 by 10 by 10, roughly, which gives us an approximate volume of 0.01 meters cubed. Density of iron is 7,850 kilograms per meter squared. So it's not as heavy as steel, but it's still pretty hefty. So again, using the mass equation, 0.01 times 7,850 is 78.5 kilos. Again, the weight of me, just in the boots. And then you add on Link's approximate weight, which means that his total weight when he puts the boots on is 145.5 kilograms, which is 217% of his own weight. He's doubled and then some his own weight putting these on, which is, I mean, you know, thank God he didn't skip a leg day either, let's just put it that way. So the average person, again, average person, forgetting he's a Highland, can lift about 1.8 to 2.2 times their own body weight in their upper body, which is why when people do sort of, you know, deadlifts and presses and whatnot, they usually try and push themselves up to about that limit. So using that rule, Link's 67 kilos, the boots are 78.5 kilos, therefore the boots are about 1.17 times heavier than he is. So in theory, he'll be able to walk in them, which he does with great difficulty. Because of course you've got to remember the water resistance comes into it, drag, etc., and you know, just makes it really hard to walk. Which is why he looks like an idiot whenever you traipse around the water temple. But this also brings up the fact that you know you can use 9 boots to stop yourself being blown away by fans as well. Essentially, he just doubles his weight. That's how he does it. There's nothing else to it. He just goes, yep, suddenly I am now 100.5 kilos. Basically, that is how that works. It's nothing special. There's no magic. There's no nothing. He just goes, yeah, busted. I know you've all asked this question at least once in your lifetime, because quite frankly, it's plagued me, it's kept me awake all week. So what effect does an evil falling moon, doesn't have to be evil, doesn't necessarily have to be falling, but for the purposes of this demonstration, it is, have on a lake of water? All of you immediately know where this is going, so we'll just go through it. So those of you who don't know how tides work, basically it's because, so basically the way it works is that because the moon has gravity and the earth has gravity, they work together, but on top of the Earth's centrifugal force. So when the earth is turning, it's got a centrifugal force that brings everything towards the centre. On top of its gravity, which also does the same thing. Now the moon's gravity is about 1/6. It's not about, it is. It is 1/6, which means that as it orbits the earth, this is going to get very diagrammy, so I apologise if none of you understand this. So as the earth's rotating, and the moon is rotating around it, basically the moon starts to pull water up towards it, so essentially you get the crest. You get a bulge of water, which is what the tides are, which is why the moon technically governs the tides. Because it basically very slowly, in very, very tiny amounts, pulls the water towards it as it goes round. Yeah, that's the second bit. Enough goes water towards, which is what creates high and low tides. So you've got high tides where the moon goes over, and then low tides at the other side. But whatever planet Hyrule / Termina, whichever works, but we'll use Termina because that's where the majority probably rotates like the Earth does, partially because it has a day and night cycle. A day and night cycle you manipulate with an ocarina, but it's a day and night cycle nonetheless. So time does move, therefore the planet, in theory, does rotate. Now then, that guy probably has gravity, just to, again, bring it into the real world. The Majora's Moon probably has some kind of gravity, and we're going to assume, for the purposes of this experiment, it's a 1/6, because it's easy. So as it comes closer and closer and closer, and you know, destroys everything. But ignoring that, As it comes closer, its influence on the tides is going to increase, because obviously, whilst its gravity isn't great, it's still going to have more effect the closer you get. So the tides are just going to go higher and higher and higher, and you know, whatever lakes are just going to drain, and people are going to flood. It's not going to be pretty, and it's just a mess, basically, at the end of it. So yeah, the moon has got 6th of gravity. So presuming that the moon and Joe's mass has the same, the water will, however, never rise up to meet it, because obviously Earth's gravity is still way stronger than the moon's. But it will get pretty close as it gets closer and closer and closer. I mean, you know, when it is a crater in the ground and is currently part of our planet, probably going to pull a lot of water towards it. But until that point, not really. It just kind of goes and messes with everything. So again, it's not really a massive change in terms of things, because the tides are governed by so many different things, but it's still probably enough to cause some major disruption. And you know, the king of the red lines will not be able to help, unfortunately. Neither will the wind wave. Nothing. It's just everyone's dead. So, it's a happy game. So just how big is an evil tyrannical embodiment of cursed evil anyways? Again, a question you've all asked yourselves multiple times over the course of the weekend, I can tell. Now then, I'm going to use Hyrule Warriors for this, which I know is not canonical, and it is the one I'm wearing, but it's easy to get Ganon's beast form in that game, because it is one mission. It's the very end mission of the game, so you can just run up and just measure him. Obviously not in-game. No. Hold still, Ganon, just hang on, I've got a tape measure. Can you just hold that up there for me? No, that's not how this is working, unfortunately. So, thanks to the Hyrule Historia, we have worked out that Ganon's height is basically 230 centimeters, according to Ocarina of Time at least. So his height is canonically 2 meters 30. However, his beast form changes shape between games, so you can't really work out on one specific one, which is why I went with Hyrule Warriors. Again, it's not canonical, but it's easy enough to get to, so it was a nice reference, plus I actually own it, which makes it even easier. So usually, I mean, 2 meters 30 is fairly tall. I'm 176, so 230 is big. But beast form Ganon is usually about double the height, if not more. So, you know, probably about the size of this room, maybe. So, you know, pretty big. And, you know, quite wide. Don't know if it'd fit in here. It might be a tight fit, but I reckon we could get it. I'm sure you'd enjoy the panel too. So, you are not going to see this because I just realized how tiny this projector is. But basically, using a bit of Hookshot, worked out. So, Link is about, again, 172. So you put the measurement there, where Link stands, and then you just work it out against Beast Ganon's height. Super duper simple. Really nothing technical to this one at all. But that's how you do it. So we work out Link's height in terms of pixels, measure it up against Beast Ganon, and then go from there. So in that screenshot, Link is about 208 pixels, roughly. So his estimated height, 172. Work that out as 1 centimeter being 0.827 pixels. Not very much at all. So Ganon's height, whilst crouched down, because in that screenshot he's on all fours, he's not. I tried to get one of him stood up, but the camera in Hyrule Warriors doesn't go high enough. So unfortunately I couldn't do that. Shame really, because you know, really just need to pad the panel out a bit. But Ganon's height whilst crouched is 595 pixels, which, cheeky bit in that, is at least 4.92 meters tall. So he's pushing 5 meters. There's no doubt about it, which is about 2.86 times taller than Link. So he's almost 3 times the height in Hyrule Warriors, and that, again, is just when he's crouched down. So it's not particularly great. I just realised I probably should have gone for a half-hour slot like this. 25 slides doesn't turn out to be that much when you're talking at the speed I am. But alas, we can work it out, it's fine. So I apologise if you guys have plans that went on after the hour, because this is maybe a little bit short, so I do apologise. I'm giving you free time. What a shame. So the last one I've got on here, I won't be working the else out. Oh, those of you who read the com guide, by the way, the bit about the Bombchus, wasn't able to get it in. I could probably tell you about it, but there's no slide for it. Because I couldn't work out anything that actually worked. They just sort of do the thing. There's no real explanation for it. They're just magic. So the final thing I've got is there we go, what's a Loftwing? Because they're stupid. So Loftwings are, again, Hyrule Historia came to the rescue here. So basically Loftwings, for those of you who don't know, are a mix between a bird that is called a shoebill and a sheeple. as in Shiba Inu, the dog. So one of the designers of Skyward Sword has a Shiba Inu. And thought, oh, you know what we can do for this game? You know how we've got this really cool bird concept, right? Skyloft, everything's above the clouds, right? We need some form of flying transportation. So let's make it a bird. That tail is adorable. I want it. That is the design process for Loftwing. Citation needed, but that's basically it. So yeah, that's where this bit here, you can't really see it, that's where this curly bit down here is. So that's a shoe girl, and then that's a Shiba. Just this tiny little bit. Just because they're like, oh my god, they're adorable. We need them in our game. Interesting fact about Loftwings, those of you who played the game probably know this already. In fact, Will knows already. Just helping. Basically, Loftwing's hair, so the quiff at the front, changes depending on whose owner it is. So Lynx has got kind of nice things. Grooses has got that really ridiculous, stupid pompadour that he has, which looks ridiculous on a Loftwing. It looks stupid on him, but when you put it on a bird and make it about that tall, it's not violent. It's not aerodynamic in the slightest. It's just it's so stupid. I don't like Grooses that much, I'm sorry. And then, I know I'm a heathen. And then Zelda's is like, no, that's true, etc., etc. And just to round this panel off, because I know it's been probably quite boring and quite explaining and quite windy, there's a picture of a shoe bill, and there's a picture of a Shiba pup. Because that's exactly what this panel needed. So yeah, you can see the Loftwing is straight shoe bill, even down to the curve on the beak. That's it. That is the top of the Loftwing. And then this tiny little bit here is off a Shiba. So if you can imagine this for a moment, just that horrible looking thing with that. That's it. That is the design document for Skyward Sword. Just like, yes, this is exactly what so yes, that is like the last actual slide, but the Bombchu thing, because this one turned out quite interesting when I was trying to work it out. Yeah, the only thing I could think of for how a Bombchu actually goes up a wall is some kind of bizarre suction thing. So that there would be basically a wheel underneath it which had suction pads on, and then as it travelled it would roll. And then it would just stick to all. You know, like those little remote control cars that got them on. Not the ones with sticky wheels that leave a mark wherever you go. But you know the ones I mean? The little rover cars with the little suction cups on. Yeah, basically one of those in the bottom of the bomb. Which, you know, isn't really. It's not clean. It's not pretty design, but I guess it works. And that was basically the only explanation I could come up with, unless they have some kind of semi-adhesive substance in Hyrule that has never been documented, which is highly likely. But as I say, it's not been documented, so couldn't really work it out. I'm just trying to think if there's anything else that I have to miss out.
There's another thing that you could say.
Go on.
The age-old Howley Haddock? Magic.
It's not. It's just, I can't explain that, I'm sorry. It's like magnets. You know, how does it work? It's just there.
You've got these little tiny super glue dispenser.
What's that?
A little tiny super glue dispenser.
When?
In the street. It comes out, skirts on it, and goes on.
Yeah, but superglue, the nature of superglue is that it holds forever. Like your Bombchu would be like, okay, I got this, I don't got this. Like, you would have premature explosions if you use superglue. I mean, you could use contact adhesive, but again, halfway up you'd be a bit screwed. I mean, if anyone else wants to offer any solutions, I can put them to the Hylian Board of Directors whilst I'm there. But no, I mean, I can attempt to explain other bits and pieces, but is there anything that anyone can kind of think of that might be, you know, just sort of an interesting question? I might as well throw it out to guys.
Going back to the Hookshot,
Yes?
would Steel actually tolerate those kinds of forces as well and still remain intact and work after one shot?
Just about. Yeah, it's got enough kind of robustness to it that it will last some dents and some hits. Not many, but enough. I mean, you use it, what, 3 times in the game? But no, steel is, as I say, it's the lightest, it's the most easy to work with, and it's relatively rust-proof. So it would work in the water. But no, it won't last very, very long. It'll last enough. Obviously, just not long enough to actually get any severe use out of it. Which is a shame, really. But again, it's, you know, why would you want to use it? It's 80 kilos. I can't get over, just, again, it's 80 kilos on your arm. And it's just, all he gets away with is dislocated shoulder, which you can just pop back in. That is literal magic, by the way. Yes?
One thing I was going to say about that actually is that he's carrying the hookshot around, which is that, but he's also got all his other kit.
He's got everything
So
else.
it's like what the hell? So he's got this big hookshot, and then he's got his boomerang.
Yeah.
He's got all
Oh,
the
yeah.
others. So how the hell does he carry that? Or does he put it in a Epona or?
What, in Epona?
Yeah, absolutely. They always have him with
Spoilers,
him.
Epona is the Trojan horse from Rick.
Yeah, absolutely.
Epona is
Not
just an
literally in,
endless
sorry, in
void.
the saddlebags. But he's not always with him, so how the hell, where does he put everything?
Magic.
Magic, I was straight to
Yeah, because if you're just going off Ocarina of Time, I can't remember the items list, but if you go off Twilight Princess, it's just one of the most amount of items I think you've got. The Gale Boomerang, you've got the claw shots, and then the second one, and then all the like 7 billion types of bombs that whoever it is makes for him. Technically the shield sword, the bow and arrow, and the spinner. This huge thing that probably weighs about a ton. Yeah, we forgot about that.
Where is that?
The spinner. And then, yeah, so he just, you know, big pockets. Big
Are
pockets.
there any RPG, are there any D&D players here?
Are you about to mention the golden bag of bowling?
Yeah, which is pretty much bag with a...
Yeah, that is the only explanation I can think of, yeah. For those of you who don't know, in D&D there's an item called a bag of holding, which is essentially a bag about that big, but within it holds like an extra planar area. So essentially what you drop into it, you have almost infinite space within it.
You can only hold a limited weight in a bag of holding. It only holds like 8 kg.
That's the other problem. It still has a weight limit. There is nothing that can explain how you can hold
And you
everything.
can't put fairies in it because they would die.
There's no air. They're in bottles anyway. They're going to die anyway. Sorry, did that I'm sorry.
So you build a specialist bolt to shoot them both, and so when it hits, who puts the portable hole into the bag? And
But it's just like, you know, you've murdered fairies. Like, Link has murdered so many fairies. Let's just think about this. For a moment, right? He is just a mass murderer.
There you go, new slides. How many fairies has Link murdered?
Well, let's just see. So there's, you know...
And still goes to the queen and goes, yeah, can you give me those
More
shit?
fairy, yeah. More fairies for Link.
How long will a fairy last in a bottle before it dies?
Yeah, there you go.
Well, considering that a bottle, so if we go for that size bottle, which is, how much is in this? Please tell me. 330 ml of liquid that bottle can hold. So that's 330 millilitres of air.
minus the volume of the fairy.
Huh?
Minus the volume of the fairy.
What's that, sorry?
Minus the volume of the fairy.
Exactly, yeah. So the fairy's what? About half the size of that, let's just say. So yeah, you've already taken up half the bottle with the fairy. And then you've got maybe like 100 ml of air left. That fairy's going to last 2 minutes. That is it. That is not going to last. You cannot catch a fairy at the start of Hyrule Field and take that bad boy all the way to Ganon. That is not going to work. You're going to open that bottle and it's just going to be dust. You're just going to pour out dust. You're going to attempt to eat it and it's going to look horrible.
Unless there's holes in the jar.
It's what?
Unless you put holes in the lid.
Yeah, but that's humane. You know, we've already caught them. They're already writhing about in a bottle, you know. Rechargeable oxygen masks for fairies. That's fun. I'll get the Kickstarter going right now. Let's do this, because honestly, I've seen too many fairies die to good people. This is now an appeal video for fairies. There's too many times that, you know, little boys can think that they can just run across Hyrule Field, go to a Great Goddess Fountain and just go, that's mine. That's not the case. So I'm here today to please pledge some money towards saving the fairies, because quite frankly, they're ruining the ecosystem and we just can't do it anymore. I wanted to mention the Kickstarter address is here and the Twitter is here. We're aiming to get $500,000 in about a week, because we need to ship it over to Hyrule and then convert it to rupees. Wait, no, rupees is a currency. We can do it in Indian rupees. What's the conversion rate? There we go. Extra slide number 3. What's the conversion rate between British pounds and rupees?
60 rupees to a pound.
Is that Indian rupees?
It's Indian.
That's not too bad. But then what about Indian rupees to Hyrule rupees? Because they only come in like massive gems. Imagine the minting press in Hyrule. Like, we have coins and notes. They're super easy to print. You are making a gem that is approximately that big every single time, and you are holding about 10,000 of them at any given point in time.
So just add that onto the
Add that onto the weight, and then, you know, basically what's happened here is a steroid user. There is no other explanation. He is on various medications and drugs of some description. This is a second appeal video. Just kind of get him off them. But, he's just been, 20 years ago he started, and then it's just been a downward slope from there, honestly. And, you know, it's just, we've got to stop him. He must be stopped. Yes?
Are the, you know what, the bows, are they actually near what an arrow would actually travel, or did they just do, that seems about the right
They did, that seems about right. No, arrows can travel, I don't have the numbers to hand, and I can't Google it because the Wi-Fi is terrible. But no, arrows are shot, they're pretty quick, they're not like super duper quick, like bullet speed, obviously. No, the speed at which Link shoots them is a little bit faster. Especially because you've got to mention, especially with fire and ice arrows in Ocarina of Time, when they have the big bulky gems on the front. That will just go like that. There's no power behind that whatsoever.
Be their composite bows, though, a variation of the composite bow.
Yeah, they'll have to be. Because the normal bow could not do that. A normal bow would just be like, yeah, no. But there was another, actually, this reminded me, sorry. There was another slide I was going to do, which is how like fire and ice arrows would work. So I can always throw that in. So fire arrows are relatively easy because you just have a packet of combustible material on the end with some kind of trigger in it that explodes on impact. It's like, you know like those pop shells that you get that you throw on the ground and they bang? Those kind of things. So you'd have something like that in the front of it and then just a bag of gunpowder, basically. Or other flammable materials that are available. And then you would just fire that, and that's how that would work. The ice arrows, you probably have to get some liquid nitrogen. Which I don't know how abundant it is in High Island. You can pop down to a local chemist and pick up a container of it. But that would have to be some kind of, again, like a pot with liquid nitrogen in it that explodes on impact. And it doesn't spread very well, I'm not going to lie. I don't know if any of you have seen liquid nitrogen, it just kind of goes, ooh. It doesn't really go, ooh, very well. So it would kind of be, you'd hit something with it and you'd get maybe frost across here. Which doesn't really limit movement in any way, shape or form. So they won't be very effective. Like I said, that's probably the best way you'd be able to do it, would be some kind of liquid gas. Yes?
How aerodynamic do you think the loft wings would be without a proper bird's tail?
Not very. Because, well, actually without a bird's tail, that's kind of what helps them, not necessarily aerodynamic, but that's how they glide and whatnot. Because it's part wing, part tail, yeah. What is a bird? So yeah, with that stupid tail, not very aerodynamic in the slightest. They would be able to glide and move, but they won't be able to turn very well. So, that game could have ended a lot faster than it did. Right, the bit at the start of Skyward Sword, where Zelda pushes Link off, and we are desperately, bated breath, waiting for his Loftwing to rock up, and you're like, I got this. You know that bit? If he had that tail, that wouldn't be nearly as graceful as it should have been. That would have just been less that, and more, oh Jesus, where am I going? It wouldn't have been a great opening to a game. So not very aerodynamic at all is the answer to that, unfortunately. Yes?
Bearing in mind Link's sheer equipment list,
Yeah.
how big would the Loftwing have to be to actually get off the ground with that
Very. Very, very large. Yeah, probably. I mean, bearing in mind, Boeing 747 is not only multiple tons because of the weight of the material and the engines, it also has hundreds of passengers in it. So Boeing 747 is going to be a lot. I don't think Link carries quite that much on him. It's probably coming close, but it's not quite that much. So they won't have to be, if we go back one, yes. So then, if you look at him compared to the bird, the body of the Loftwing is about his height, roughly. And the wingspan is obviously about double, because the wings are quite long. So they're fairly large, but they're not super duper large. So at the start of the game, when he's got nothing on him, not a problem. By the end of the game, when he's been through 5 temples, picked up every item on the ground he can think of, stored it for later because, ooh, that might come in handy, and then actually used half of them, he'll probably be at least triple, quadruple his weight. So that bird will just splutter. It will maybe get that far off the ground and then just go, I've had enough, you need to lose some weight, sunshine. No, this is a weight-restricted ride, unfortunately. It is. It's gone down the choir. It's gone down the curtain, showing the choir invisible, etc., etc., because who doesn't want Monty Python? So, yeah, it wouldn't get very far at all with the weight of, you know, one man and his entire travel equipment. It would just be a wreck. Thankfully, they don't explode on impact, though, so it's not as bad as it could have been. Does anyone else get anything else? Yes, swing back.
How low would gravity have to be with regular human muscle mass to make up for the added weight for the items?
Oh, so if he had everything on him and just like attached,
But gravity was substantially lower.
what would it roughly have to be?
Gravity have to be?
Again, very. Recurring theme across this panel, is the word very. Well, considering that, you know, with enough force and enough thrust, a Boeing can get off the ground and escape gravity. Not escape. Oh Jesus, it's escaped gravity, get it down! It's not that bad. But yeah, considering that a Boeing has all that thrust and all that force behind it to get up off the ground, for Link to be able to even lift his leg with his combined weight, he would either, again, have to be on steroids, and then some, have some kind of robotic or bionic equipment. This is it. This is Link, under Link's leggings. It's all just, it's Adam Jensen. That's the other explanation. The thing is, he did ask for it. He specifically asked for this. That is the only other explanation. But Link is in fact bionic. That explains everything. They have the technology. That's it. That is, you know. Big spoiler of Legend of Zelda. They're going to bring out Legend of Zelda Wii U, and it's going to be all majestic, it's going to be bloom everywhere, it's going to be superb. Someone's going to cut Link open, and it's just robotic parts. That's it, I'm so sorry, I've got contacts at Nintendo. I guess I wasn't blaming the obvious already. No, so in terms of like gravity and stuff, it would have to be substantially lower for him to be able to even move. Because it's not necessarily him moving, it's him lifting his leg to be able to move in the first place. Which by itself shouldn't be too difficult. So, because obviously all his equipment's going to be roughly upper torso area and on his back. So the action of doing that, not necessarily difficult. The action of doing that, substantially harder when you have like, again, 5 temples worth of equipment and stuff you picked up off the floor. Not very easy. So it would have to be, I mean, I reckon even with a 6 you just might be able to do it. Like, so if he was on the moon. But he's not, so he can't, unfortunately. So yeah, it would have to be a fair chunk lower to be able to do that.
Twilight is smaller then, isn't it? I mean,
presumably, yeah. We don't know much about the actual like diameters and stuff of it. So if it is, like I say, it's probably a lot smaller. Yeah. So if the gravity is the same, it's going to have less of an effect. But we don't know. Unfortunately, the Hyrule historian doesn't go into the mechanics of the Earth. Wish it did. But really long scientific paper on the you know, geometry and geology of Hyrule. And now, caramel dancing break. Somebody hand up. I just saw. Yes.
You were saying with Skyroll. How much energy would it take to keep a city in the sky?
Oh, so to actually keep Skyloft aloft.
It's got Chaos Emerald.
That's it. It's the Master Emerald. What Hylia did was she jumped series, went over to Sega's offices, asked very nicely if she could borrow the Master Emerald for a bit, and then just sort of went, yes. That's how Skyloft was made. Exact noise and everything.
it looks like a rupee.
But in theory, it wouldn't even be able to do it. There is no kind of energy force on Earth. Never mind Hyrule, but on Earth there is nothing that will be able to keep that aloft, apart from maybe...
Magnet?
If it was like the size of this room, yes. But probably a good 1,000 jet engines, which, you know, I mean, Skyloft's a nice peaceful place until you go... and 1,000 jet engines underneath. I mean, you know, some people like that. Some people look for that in real estate. You know, flight paths and everything. But I don't think, you know, the ceremonies would be much better off. It's just like, oh, this is a very touching moment where we pass down the, you know, the blanket and it's all very serene. It's not great. And to be honest, it would probably kill about 3 loft wings a day, just from the upward suction. So I don't know if any of you, whoever's seen The Incredibles knows the no cape rule. Exact same thing would happen, because in theory it would be downward force to keep it up, but if it was upward force to try and keep it elevated, you would have so many loft wings accidentally go under the island and just be mincemeat. That is McHyrule, is what that is. Skyloft is the production facility for McDonald's Hyrule branch. They just go, oh well, we've murdered 7 loft wings today, that'll do for about 20,000 burgers, I think. Loft wing meat.
Or Kentucky Fried Loft Parade.
Yeah, KFL, yeah. Ah yes, the Colonel, he's got big fingers in many places. He knows. I mean, if you can take the chocobos, you can take the lot. How long have we got left? About 10 minutes? Yeah, about 10 minutes. So if anyone else has got another, yeah?
How many cuckoos would it actually take to lift Link up?
Not one. Well, considering a cuckoo mass is probably about, for ease of use, let's say about it's a quarter of a length. So we're talking about, no, it's not going to be 15 kilos, is it? Chickens aren't that heavy. I'd say it's about an eighth of length, so I'd say it's about 7-8 kilos. And I mean, their legs out. So there's that to take into account. As soon as it lifts off, the legs would just go. And then you'd have a ball. You'd have a little ball of cocoa fluff. You can't attack me now, can you? Cocoa ball, newest sport coming to Hyrule 2015. No, it will probably take a fair few, because obviously you have to work out the fact that if they can actually, what their lifting weight is, how much it takes them to get off the ground by themselves, how much it would take them to get off the ground with a weight attached. So, at a rough estimate, at least 10, 12 of them, just attach them to everything. And it would just be majestic. It would be such... Just for a moment, just imagine, just go with me here for a moment. So, you're in Hyrule Field, you're looking out across the peninsula, it's a beautiful morning, sun's just coming up, and then all of a sudden, you just hear outstretched with like 15 cuckoos attached to various bits and pieces, just breaches the horizon. It just brings a tear to my eye, just so graceful. Again, Wii U, not saying anything, probably in there. Although, to be fair, if you add on the weight of all the other items he's got, including the weight of the 12 cuckoos, that then adds another one of him, basically, onto the list of things he's got with him. So you're probably more than 12. Quite a few cuckoos.
String all around Link and then tied the string, you've got more lift in them and then it's just in.
Has anyone seen the film Up? If you need that many balloons to lift a house, you need about that many cuckoos to lift a man. Give or take 10 or 20. Yes?
Bearing in mind that Tingle uses a balloon to get off the ground, how much extra helium would you use to set the
well, unfortunately, Tingle is forever. We've tried. Just burn his balloon, because we don't need it. I can find Triforce pieces without you, little shit. If you want a better idea, if you wanted to put Tingle in the atmosphere and just leave him there forever with all the helium balloons, if one can lift him, then, and no, lift him quite high. Your bob's about, that high off the ground. About 20 balloons should just send him into orbit. Think of the Space Core from Portal 2, but less annoying. And that's Tingle. That is the sequel to Tingle's Roozy Road Tingle in Space, where he visits such wondrous planets as Mars. It's an educational game. It's coming out next year on Nintendo 3DS. Okay, probably one more if anyone else has got one. 3 more, okay, I'll run these and then we'll do. So I'll go just at the back, sorry, I saw you first.
How strong do the giants have to be to stop the moon from falling?
Very. Well, considering that you can work out its rough velocity, because obviously it goes from orbit to Earth in about 3 days. So you can work out its rough velocity, but then you've got the actual force it's coming down with, which seems like a lot, because it can just level a city by blowing on it. Probably, a good I mean, let's have a look. If you can take, if you can break a bone at 17,000 newtons, and if you can pull an arm off at 30,000, again, useful advice. For those of you who wanted to know. I mean, how many is there? I can't remember how many giants holds it up. Four. So, yeah, they'd have to be pretty beefy. Yeah, they would probably have to be taking something of the same substance that Link does. But on a bigger scale, yeah, bearing in mind they're probably made out of like rock, sediment, steel, world's strongest material, you know, unobtainium, etc., etc. Probably they could, yeah, I reckon they could do it. It's just whether they can do it fast enough. And Termina's waiting. I had two more. Oh, just one of them.
Because you know, when Link holds the cuckoo and he jumps off a ledge, he glides.
Yeah.
Like, is it possible to do that with a real life chicken?
No. No, it is not. Cannot recommend. Ocarina of Time is filmed in front of a live studio audience and is performed by trained stuntmen. Please do not attempt to try anything you see in this game at home. No, chickens, they're relatively weighty, and they can fly, but not very well.
It's 13 seconds flight for a chicken.
It's how much?
13 seconds.
That's unweighed, though. That's not with 300 kilos of Hylian and equipment on it. Again, you'd probably just pull the legs off first. And you know, we could bring Cocoa Ball into the real world, it'd be amazing. This year's hit Summer Smash. But no, it wouldn't be viable in the slightest. As much as I would love to try it, one day, just go to a roof with chicken in hand. It's been nice knowing you, Cluck, but we're going for a ride. I don't think it's possible, no, unfortunately. I mean, mostly unaided flight is still a dream. But unless I've got one more, if somebody else has got one more? Yes.
Okay, I know jack about this series because I've never played them.
What?
I know. Tried Twilight, yeah. But from what I've seen, with all these fairies getting bottled up, is Navi a complete sociopath because she feels nothing for it?
Yep.
No, she is the most terrifying thing I've found in these games.
Yeah, no, she is. She's on various police lists. At least 12, child protection databases. And, she's a wanted criminal.
That's a problem.
Navi is a wanted criminal. She also has 3 noise restraint orders. So, if any of you see her, we're putting out a third appeal of the day. And if anybody sees her, can you ring Crime Stoppers? Because she's been on the loose for 12 years. And we really need her brought to justice, because quite frankly, she just needs a good kicking.
Or juicing.
She needs more than a good kicking, let's be perfectly honest.
Get working with Sweden.
I mean, weapons are preferential. But with that, we've just clocked up. My God, we made it to 11 o'clock. Thank you very much for coming, everybody. I hope this was entertaining and somewhat educational. None of it makes sense in the real world. And thank you, everybody, for your questions that help pad it out. You are lifesavers. But yes, thank you very much, everybody, and have a very good Saturday.
Leave.